Hey there. Good morning. How's everybody doing today? See, I know this takes a few seconds, so we're just going to hang out for a little bit. It's Wednesday again. You guys doing good? I hope everybody's having a good week so far. Next week is spring break around here, and this is the first full week of school that we have had since before Christmas, between snow days and cold days, and Martin Luther King Jr. Day, President's Day, Staff Development Day, whatever reason they've had days off. So, yeah, I'm excited to have the house to myself for a full week. Feels really good. So I hope everybody's having a good time. I know some of you are on spring break already. Happy spring break. It'll be officially spring a week from today, so that'll be fun. We have that extra hour of daylight in the evenings, so that's helpful mentally, although not so helpful for bedtime. All right, let's get started. Today we are talking about episode number 6 of the podcast, the Transforming Anxiety podcast. And hopefully if you're watching this, you are aware of the podcast, and hopefully you're following along and listening to those. They release every Wednesday morning. The first 4 episodes went together. That was an introductory series that went together to really introduce anxiety and how we're going to start tackling this work. And now we're kind of digging deeper into certain elements of things that we've talked about and laying some groundwork for where we're going to go in the coming weeks and months. So in episode 5, we introduced the model. That was last week. And that was a huge episode. So I hope you guys have had a chance to listen to that. That was where I laid the foundation for episode 6, which is today, the episode about thoughts, and episode 7, which will be next week, the episode about feelings. I hope I'm not going to scare you guys away talking about feelings. I promise it's not going to be a fluffy, silly episode about feelings. We're not going to talk about our inner child or sing Kumbaya or anything silly. It's going to be another really practical, pragmatic episode. So I hope you'll join me for that one next week. But today we're talking about thoughts. So when we looked at the model, there were the 5 categories. We had circumstances, thoughts, feelings, actions, and results. Circumstances are the only things that are not under your control. Those are the only things that are outside of you. They are factual. There's no drama or story to circumstances, but they're the only things out of your control, which is important. The rest of the model, all of your thoughts, all of your feelings, all of your actions, all of your results, those things are 100% under your control. So in the episode today, we're specifically talking about thoughts. And what I did was, there's 2 awesome worksheets that go along with this episode. So I didn't link to it in my little comment. I will link to it in the, here next to this, in the comments below this video, where you can find those worksheets. It's on my website, kellyhanlonmccormick.com/podcast/6. So there's 2 great worksheets you're going to want to go along with this episode because, as usual, I like to do things step by step. I don't want any fluffy, vague, like how do I get there from here sort of advice. That's not helpful. That is actually what got me into super anxiety, right? I read all those self-help books. I did all those fluffy affirmations. I did all that stuff, and none of it was helpful. So the goal is, of course, to give really practical, pragmatic, step-by-step, here's how you do this, sorts of worksheets and tips and resources and tools. So anyway, point of that is you can find that over at the website, kellyhanlonmccormick.com/podcast/6. It goes along with the episode, and it takes everything I talk about in the episode and really breaks it down step by step, gives you a place to fill everything out. So in thinking about thoughts, which is kind of meta, right? It's important to distinguish between our unintentional thoughts and our intentional thoughts. And most of us are running around we're feeling and acting and getting results from completely unintentional thoughts. Our minds are thought-making machines. We have 60,000 thoughts a day or something crazy like that. Most of those thoughts are thoughts that we had yesterday and the day before that and the day before that. So our thoughts are very repetitive. And because our thoughts control our feelings and our feelings drive our actions, and the actions that we take in the world ultimately create the results that we get in life, it's pretty important to pay attention to our thoughts, right? And be intentional about what's going on in there. But nobody pulls us aside in school and tells us this, right? Nobody lets us in on this great secret and says, hey, here's how this goes. You're gonna wanna pay attention to what's going on in your mind, because that's what's gonna create everything else in your life. That's what's gonna create your job. That's what's gonna create your relationships. That's what's going to create your bank account. All of that is going to be a product of how you're thinking. Nobody tells us this. Why not? I don't know, but that's what we're here to talk about. So, thoughts, feelings, actions, results. Unintentional thoughts are the thoughts that are just running without a chaperone. This is just what happens when your mind is on autopilot, right? These are the thoughts that are just there. And that's fine, but this work is about waking up to those thoughts. First of all, figuring out what the heck's going on in there, finding patterns, seeing if you can dig into what kind of self-talk is happening in there. What kind of things do I think about over and over? When I first start working with new clients, a lot of them, and we start doing this work that we're going to talk about here in the worksheets that go along with this episode, they're surprised about what's going on in their minds because we don't do this. We don't pay attention to this. So they'll be surprised to find out that they really think about money a lot. They'll be surprised how often they're thinking about food and what they're eating or what they're not eating or what they should be eating or what they want to eat next. They'll be surprised to find out how often they're thinking about alcohol. When can I have the next drink? When's the waiter going to come? What time is it okay to start drinking? Those sorts of thoughts. They might be surprised with how often they worry or how often they complain or how often they judge. That's another fun one, right? We're going to do a whole series about judgment because we all need to work on that. But people are surprised what's going on in there because we don't do this. We don't take the time to do what I call a thought download, and that's the first part of this worksheet. It's where you take 5 or 10 minutes. It doesn't take long, but just put a pen to paper and get all of the thoughts that are going on in your mind down. Get them out of your mind down onto a piece of paper and just look and see what's going on there. And do this every single day. When you start doing this for a week or two, you'll start noticing patterns. You'll start finding your habits. What's going on that you're thinking about all the time? What is on repeat that you didn't even know was going on in there? You'll start to find out what's happening as soon as you essentially turn the lights on in that part of your mind and start paying attention and start writing it down. So that's my first homework assignment, if you will, is to do your thought download. That's page 1 of the worksheet. Now, to take this further, we're going to put those thoughts, 1 or 2 of those thoughts, we're going to pick a couple of them, and we're going to put it into the model. And we're going to see what feelings, actions, and results come out of the unintentional thoughts that your mind is just thinking on autopilot. These are just the things that are happening on default, right? This is if you're not paying attention. So just take one of those thoughts and you'll find some of those thoughts will be about, do I want to have tacos or whatever for dinner tonight? You can work with those thoughts if you want to. And maybe those are the juicy thoughts. Maybe that's where you want to take action. You'll also find some thoughts there that are surprising to you, or some thoughts where if you keep asking yourself, and I didn't go into this in the podcast, but this is an important point, keep asking yourself, why? So what? Or ask yourself, and then what? When you have a thought, maybe it's about how you're being perceived at work, right? And you say, or you're thinking to yourself, I don't think my coworkers or this team that we're working with are understanding my intentions or my work, right? They're not perceiving me the way that I'm intending for them to perceive me. So then dig into that. So what? Why is that a problem? Why are you thinking about that? If you find a question in the thought line, answer it. Don't let yourself keep a question in the thought line. Answer the question, give yourself the thought, and then dig in. Ask yourself why. Ask yourself, so what? Dig into that thought. And then that's when you're going to find the real thought, and that's when the feelings, actions, and results, you're going to see what's happening when you're on autopilot. Now, take that same thought, that same topic, that same idea, or the same area of your life, right? Maybe it's work, so we'll stick with work. Then we're going to switch over to what's called an intentional model. And you're going to put into that model, you can pick a feeling, you can pick an action, you can pick a result. Pick something that you want in that arena of your life and fill it into that line of the model. Maybe it's a result. Maybe you want a promotion, right? Maybe that's the result that you want. So then you can start backtracking. What sort of action do you need to be taking in order to get the promotion? You see how this works? In order to be taking that action, how would you have to be feeling? So we're going backwards through the model. What feelings would produce the actions that you need to take in order to get the result of a promotion? Now, when you get to the feelings, this is where we're focusing today, is on the thoughts. Backtrack from there and think to yourself, what would I have to be thinking in order to create this feeling? I know that sometimes this is tricky work, and this is where working one-on-one with a coach can really be helpful. And you can always find information about that. If you're interested in doing a free mini session with me and kind of teasing some of this apart, come on over to the website. There's a place in the Work With Me section where you can book a free mini session with me, and we can work through a few of these things. You'll be surprised what we can do in just a few minutes, and we can start to uncover the thoughts that you'd have to be thinking in order to create the feelings you'd have to be having in order to drive the actions you need to be taking in order to get the result that you want. So that's the idea, is that you're going to work backwards through the model, and you don't have to start with result. You can start with action or feeling. A lot of people, when they're showing up anxious, they say, I just want to feel peace. I just want to feel calm. And so I work with a lot of people around creating a feeling that they want to feel, that they want to generate on purpose, that they want to intentionally create in their lives. And so that's where this intentional model comes from. We start with the unintentional model, and we look at what's happening on autopilot. Here's just what your mind is up to when you're not paying attention. And a lot of this is unconscious, right? A lot of this is happening below the level of awareness. So you're not even paying attention. You're not even like consciously aware that this is where your mind is at as often as it's there. So we do the unintentional model. Then we switch over to the intentional model, and we say, okay, what do you want? Here's how you create that. You know how when you're a kid and people say, oh, you can be anything. You can do anything. And of course, we tell our kids this, right? We believe in them so much. We have the thoughts that create the feelings, actions, and results. Like, we believe in them so much. We love them so much that we think they can be or do anything. But for them, or for us, when we're trying to be or create or do anything that we want, that question then comes up, of course. How do I do this? How do I create that? This is how. This is what breaks everything down from the result that you want. It backtracks. All of this is internal work. That's the best news, you guys. You don't have to depend on anything outside of yourself. You don't have to have dumb luck. This isn't about getting the right lottery ticket, right? This isn't about manipulating other people into acting the way that you want them to act. This isn't about manipulating other people into giving you what you want. This is about you creating what you want. And this is the process, right? From your thoughts, those create your feelings, those drive your actions, those create your results. You can start anywhere in the model, and that's the idea of the intentional model, is to start further down in the model and say, what do you want to create? What do you want? And then let's backtrack, and we're going to figure out all the pieces to that puzzle so that you know exactly how you're going to have to think. And that's why the focus this episode is on our thoughts. It all starts there. This is how you have to think in order to create the result that you're looking for. It never works the other way around. Now, here's a couple pitfalls, right? These are some traps that I see often. One thing that I hear a lot is that I will be able to feel this way or act that way when things are easier, when I have more money, when I get that job, right? If I'm in that relationship, then it'll be easy for me to feel and act that way. Never, never. I know that this is hard to unlearn this. And I know that we truly believe that our feelings come from all of those outside circumstances. Like, well, if I'm just married, I'll be happy. If I just get the promotion, I'll be happy. That will create the happiness for me. It never works that way, ever. You have to create the feelings and the actions and the results for yourself. And the only way to do that is by shifting your mindset. You have to pay attention to how you're thinking in order to get everything else in the model. None of those results are going to accidentally happen, ever, ever. And so, it's interesting when people show up and they want to work on their anxiety, but they also want to work on their weight, or they also want to work on their finances, or they also want to work on their relationships. And I say, great, let's do it, because it's all kind of the same thing. There's different protocols, there's different homework. Some of the details are a little bit different, but you see the process is the same. Whether you want the result to be losing 50 pounds or paying off $50,000 in debt or getting a promotion or finding a partner, no matter what you want the result to be, it all starts with your thoughts, all of it. So this episode focuses on thoughts. It goes deep into thoughts. It talks about the thought download, which is the first step in this kind of homework. Now, okay, here's another pitfall that people fall into. Well, I did it once. I did one thought download. I did one model on one of those thoughts, and it's not working. That would be exactly like me saying, well, I did yoga one time, right? And I can't do the splits. Or I ate one salad and I don't feel any better, right? I had one good night's sleep and I don't feel any more energized. None of this is one and done stuff. All of it is a daily practice. You have to have a good night's sleep every night. You have to eat clean, healthy food that works for your body every day. You have to drink enough water every day. You have to move your body every day. You have to clean your house, right? You have to do your laundry. You have to wash the dishes. You also have to clean up your mind every day. This is a daily practice. This isn't time consuming. It's not difficult, but it's not a one and done. And if you truly want to change your life, if you truly want to create results and feelings that you want to be having, this is how. But do it every day, okay? So, couple common pitfalls, right? It'll be easier some other time. It will never be easier. Now is the perfect time to get started. It'll be easier when I already have the thing that I want to create. Your thoughts and your feelings don't come from your results. Your results come from your thoughts and your feelings. So flip it around. Remind yourself that's how it works. My thoughts and my feelings come from creating intentional thoughts and feelings, right? Being very intentional, paying attention to that. And my results come out of that. My thoughts and feelings don't come from my results. It's the other way around. Okay? And do it often. Look into your mind often. Pay attention to what's going on in your mind often. Don't think this is a one and done. Okay? Those are the common pitfalls. So come over, get your worksheets. I'll link to it here in the comments. kellyhanlonmccormick.com/podcast/6 to get the worksheets that go along with the episode. And don't forget to download the episode, of course. We're on iTunes, Spotify, and Stitcher. I'm still waiting to hear back from a couple other platforms. I will announce those when they are ready and available. So until next week, have an awesome, awesome week. Work on your thought downloads. Do them every single day. I promise this will create change in your life. You can't do this work and not create change. It's amazing. It's powerful. It's simple, but it takes commitment, and you've got to be willing to show up every day. Okay? All right. I'll see you over on the website. I will see you on Instagram. Come hang out with me on Instagram. I'm at @KHanlonMcCormick. I would love to hang out with you on Instagram. And until next week, we'll have an awesome week. I'll see you next week for the next episode of the podcast all about feelings And I'll be live again next Wednesday, 11 a.m. Central. Thanks, you guys. Have a wonderful week. Bye.